Well, it's down to Philly and Dallas for Shaq Leonard with both teams making offers. But when can we expect a decision, and why do the Eagles have an advantage? Plus, the 49ers are regretting trash talking, while Jason Kelce called out the Bills for cheap shots. And defensive coordinator Sean Desai is changing things up for Brock Purdy, but will it work? But first, let's run it. Hey guys, alright, it feels good to be back, but man, I needed some vacation after all the anxiety-filled, crazy, heart attack-inducing finishes we've had. Except obviously that didn't change in the Buffalo game either, where I was going nuts in a tiny cafe in Missouri after the Birds somehow miraculously won to get to 10-1. I mean, thankfully Jake the Make is literally the GOAT, and no surprise, his performance earned him the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week award. I know it's been several days, but I still can't figure out how he made that kick. Come on, we were all literally Jalen at that moment. Of course, the win didn't come without a couple key losses after multiple guys went out due to injury, and the Eagles released their first official injury report of the week, which we'll monitor as the week goes along, but the most notable and probably most important area to point out is the linebacker position. Since Zach Cunningham suffered a hamstring injury, and the Inquirer's Jeff McClain reported that Cunningham is expected to be out at least a week and possibly longer. Okay, not really a huge surprise since I think most of us assumed hamstrings are usually multiple week things. But props to Christian Ellis for making some plays in the running game in relief. However, like Outside the Birds pointed out, and I'm sure a lot of us saw, Ellis isn't showing he can be relied on in passing and pre-snap motion offenses. And yeah, that's just about every offense in the NFL, which is why the question is and continues to be, when is the deal going to get done with Shaq Leonard? Well, we do have an update, with the 6-year pro getting in a workout yesterday and arriving to the airport where security boss and godfather Dom DeSandro was there to welcome him.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Alright, well, if one Italian wasn't enough to get the job done, the Birds sent a second one, as it was reported that Nick Sirianni cleared his schedule. Okay, I know that's not really out of the norm, but Sirianni did say he took some extra time to catch up and reminisce on the good old days.
Any guy that comes in here, I want to spend time with them and talk to him. Obviously, there's a prior relationship there. I was close with him when we were in Indy. It was good to just be able to catch up with him and relive some memories, but also just talk about a little bit about what this building's like. I think the pitch is just the guys that we have in this building, and some of them he has a prior relationship to. But I think just I want Shaq to make the decision what's best for him. So because again, when there's that prior relationship, you want to make sure that, and that's what I said to him. I just want you to make the best decision for you. Take all the information from both places and do what's best for you. And so, I've called him a bunch the last couple days, and he'll make the decision that's best for him. I'm confident in that. He's a good person.
Look, I don't know why you wouldn't choose Philly. Okay, sure, I'm a little biased. But maybe Shaq ends up agreeing with Dallas owner Jerry Jones, since it's now a 2-horse race for Leonard, with Mr. Geriatric himself saying, "We've got a pretty attractive situation for any player because of not only the way we're playing, but just the awe of the Cowboys and our fan base in this area."
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I'm sorry, but I'm actually glad the Cowboys allowed Jerry to go to lunch with Shaq. Maybe that would have meant something a decade ago, but personally, with all the outlandish comments he makes, I feel like that's just a detriment to the so-called Dallas lore. I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong with that, but it's worth mentioning that Shaq's visit in Philly reportedly went well, and Ian Rappaport said the 28-year-old will now think over the pitches and review offer potentials and make a decision over the weekend. Now, realistically, I don't think Shaq will ever be back to his all-pro form, especially given his back injuries, but with Philly's injuries at linebacker to Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham, this is a move I think we gotta pull off. But let me also be clear, this isn't a panic mode or anything, yet I'm definitely more heightened on this than I was a week ago. Curious to know how you guys feel about that, especially considering 52 could be out for a while. Again, I'm fairly confident we can get this done thanks to the previous relationship with Sirianni, plus having a squad that has your back, like, for example, how Jason Kelce had Cam Jurgens back after the Bills game.
Well, I think the one play was a quarterback sneak. And, I think teams are really, trying to stop that play. They talk about it all week. I'm sure they label it as some type of, level of toughness to stop the play.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was bullshit at the time. I really did. And I said so to the official on the field. I said, listen, I've been running that play a lot of years. I have seen people jump off sides. He made zero effort to stop after he jumped off sides.
Absolutely.
He purposely tried to hurt Cam Jurgens.
He did.
I thought I thought it should have been a personal foul, and I think he should be fined for that play. Now, I'm not going to comment on the rest of the game. There were things happening with the fans. I don't know what happened that got him that fired up, but I thought that play in particular was absolutely a disgrace that the NFL should not allow. I really do. And I don't know Jordan Phillips. He might be the best guy in the world. But that, in my opinion, the NFL needs to do something about, because that shouldn't be allowed in this game.
Yep.
At this level, I thought the officials did not do a good job of officiating that play.
I agree.
I really didn't. I think that was so clearly not a offsides. That was a personal foul.
Yeah.
And it should have been stipulated right from that moment. And because they didn't call that, you saw things happen throughout the rest of the game.
Okay, not to get too much into the Buffalo game, but Jason's 100% correct. Plus, like the future Hall of Famer brought up, we saw several instances of this throughout the game. And I've also got to give kudos to the fans of the game for getting under Jordan Phillips' skin to cause the altercation, which my hope is that you guys can do that again to the 49ers this weekend. Although that's kind of expected, since remember how easy it was to get under Nick Bosa's brother Joey's skin before the game? Or leaving Kyle Shanahan to share, "I don't like going back to Philly again. My wife is bitter about it. She didn't like her fan experience in the stands, so she's not going this time."
That's it, I'm not going.
Oh, I'm sorry, you expected to have an enjoyable fan experience on the road in Philly? However, if we can believe this dude Cam, who's a 49ers reporter, there's projected to be almost 30% whiners in the stands on Sunday. For the record, I'm with you if you're not buying that. But if you think that's crazy, the Eagles are also apparently the worst 10-1 team in the history of the NFL, with the odds makers now listing San Fran as 3-point favorites in the game at the link. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but go ahead and grab the money while you can. Heck, even 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan doesn't quite understand his own favoritism, saying, "I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't really know how that stuff works." Okay, sure you don't. So I don't really know why, but it is random. And well, the hate is just everywhere, because ESPN Analytics has the Birds ranked number 7, yeah, you heard me right, number 7 behind 4 teams we've already beaten in the Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, and Cowboys.
You serious, Clark?
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. However, let's not cry like the 40 whiners have been since the NFC Championship game last year. Remember, if there's anyone to blame, it's your own head coach for choosing a backup tight end to block Haason Reddick. Yet to refresh the memory, the Shanahans left plenty of bulletin board material, going all the way back to January when an anonymous player delusionally said it felt like once Purdy got hurt, someone at the league called down and said, "Make sure the Eagles get to the Super Bowl and not them." Or a week later, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk said the Eagles got extremely lucky, followed by Deebo Samuel making excuses while saying Philly is undoubtedly his most hated team. Oh yeah, while also calling cornerback James Bradberry trash, but they can keep living up to their 40 whiner name. And Reddick had a response for all that crying.
As this season been going on, not much. Talk is cheap. They get to come back in the link. It was a lot of boo-hoos last year, a lot of crying, a lot of what if, a lot of this, a lot of that. They get a chance to come back in here, line that up and prove it again.
I love it, and I can't wait to see how Haas plays on Sunday. Remember, this is the same dude who circled the Niners game as his most anticipated game. Of course, his response didn't go unanswered when Deebo Samuel was on with Kay Adams.
Hey, man, we'll catch you on Sunday.
All right, we will see on Sunday. Although my favorite part is seeing San Fran linebacker Fred Warner regretting his teammates talking trash after saying, "People are going to jump to what happened last year in the NFC Championship game, but I'm kind of over the whole thing. I know some of our players throughout the offseason were saying stuff about it. I honestly wish we hadn't. You can sit there and make the excuse about the whole Brock Purdy situation, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they beat us. They earned that."
Don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
Okay, honestly, for once, this is an actual level-headed 49ers take I can respect, despite Fredo probably getting a lot of hate from the Bay Area folks for speaking the truth. Although the bigger regret may be the fact that Kyle Shanahan admitted he's confident in Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen mimicking Jalen Hurts on the scout team for practices this week. Which is really just great to me because sure, go ahead and get your defense overconfident ahead of the matchup. But okay, realistically, yes, San Francisco has a good defense, so it's going to be a challenge. Yet I'm confident in the NFL MVP until we see something that says otherwise. Alright, I'm with you for those that keep saying we've got to play a complete game because surely we can't keep relying on these insane comebacks. And sure, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson is definitely a major piece to that equation. However, I'm just glad Brock Purdy is healthy so we don't get any excuses after the game. Who am I kidding? We're going to hear some regardless. I mean, people are already pointing out how it's rigged with the NFL changing their photo to Jalen Hurts and signifying that they're doing whatever possible to help the Birds. But moving past the conspiracy, the good news is that right tackle Lane Johnson will be playing to assert his daddy dominance on Nick Bosa after telling Olivia Reiner that he's feeling good after popping some scar tissue in his groin last week. which, man, doesn't sound fun. But on the other side of the ball, perhaps there's more good news since it sounds like Desai could look to implement stickier coverage or even press coverage at times.
I think Brock's playing at a really high level. He's really efficient with the ball, getting the ball out in rhythm and timing to his receivers. I think they do a good job mixing the run and pass, and Brock really runs that offense really well, and he's feeling really comfortable doing that. He's slippery. He's a little bit quick and can be evasive in the pocket, and he keeps his eyes upfield and is able to target some explosives downfield that way too. So we'll have to have a good plan of corralling him, and then getting tight to some of these routes so we can contest some of these throws that they throw.
Okay, honestly, I'd love to get at least a few more press coverage looks because, come on, the whole world knows our strength is our D-line, so maybe this is a chance to take away the quick Shanahan passing game and allow our guys to get home. I don't know. What do you guys expect to see, and do you think it would work with press coverage against Purdy? I should also mention that starting Weiner D lineman Eric Armstead is dealing with a foot injury and didn't practice yesterday, so could end up missing the action Sunday since Armstead has a known history of lingering foot issues. And while we're talking about Sunday's game, it was announced that former Pro Bowl wideout DeSean Jackson is retiring as a member of the Eagles on Friday and will be an honorary captain for the game against San Francisco. Of course, I wonder what Braden Mann will be thinking, but along with one Birds pass catcher retiring, another one is starting his career in Philly, as it was just announced Howie Roseman agreed to terms with wide receiver Cam Sims, which, in case you're not familiar with the wideout, the 6'5" receiver spent 5 seasons in Washington catching 57 passes for 804 yards and 3 touchdowns. Oh yeah, and you could have guessed where he went to college. Roll Tide. Honestly, I'm not really sure if this is a major signing, but I'm all for the potential with his athleticism. What do you guys think? Also, as a reminder, this is your last chance to join the channel as a member and automatically be entered for 2 tickets to any remaining regular season game that will be drawn during our live stream on Sunday. So feel free to stop by and hang out during the watch party to catch all the reactions and see who wins the tickets. Okay, glad to be back to our regular scheduled programming and also have a few surprises planned soon, so keep an eye out. This has been the Philly Special.